Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Now today we're going to be covering how to make your own flat frame light panel. And flats are a necessary part of astrophotography because what they do is they calculate the correction factor for each pixel so they all give the same value when exposed to the same quantity of light for a given optical path. Which means things like dust donuts, lens vignetting, and other obstacles that reduce the light to a given pixel will be removed by the flat frames, producing a smooth, evenly illuminated, beautiful image. And you know it takes a lot of work to get the data to create a deep sky image, and it takes very little time when you compare the time it takes to collect the data to calibrate your frames with a flat frame. We're going to be looking at how it performs in Nina. Now I've already assembled it, but essentially I have two here. This is the first one that I've created, and this works great if you have like 80 millimeters or 102 millimeters of aperture. Now I've been using this for a number of years really with CCD and CMOS cameras, and it's worked okay. But for the narrow band you could wait 6 seconds or more for each frame, and so it's rather slow, and I wanted something a little bit brighter. So I preferred some sort of controlled light source, some way to manage the brightness level. Now there are a number of ready-made options out there, but hey, this is Dakota Starry Nights, right? And we like building our own whenever possible around here. So what I did, I looked into this a little bit and found this great light panel, and this is 175 millimeters across so that you can accommodate a scope with 150 millimeters of aperture, and it's LED. This is metal, so here all I got to do is hit the rocker switch and it comes on, and that's at full brightness. But as you can see, you have a nice even illumination here. That's very important. Not all of these operate the same. Some of them are splotchy. It just depends. So it's better to try one that's already been proven to work. That's what Dakota Starry Nights is about. We're here to try it out for you, to save you the hassle and the money of having to buy it and then finding out that, well, it's not going to work because of this, that, or the other thing. And I preferred this over an EL panel because they tend to be flimsy and you got to build a box for them. Whereas, like I said, this is already mounted and it's aluminum. You can dim this one either way you want, as bright as you want. And then when you get your setting, you could just flick the switch off. Flick the switch back on and it stays there. So let's say I like just about that, and then all I do is shut the switch off, and the next time I want it, just turn the switch on. And that's what I like about this. It maintains the setting so that you got exactly the setting and you could just cut the power. This does come with the LED driver so that you can use a regular incandescent dimmer, halogen, as opposed to this LED dimmer, which is usually twice the money. But what I liked about this one, it does come with this rocker switch, and I like that part. So that's why I went with this. This is the switch for it right here. And the model number here is SCL-153PH. Talking about this panel, there's two versions of it. This one is the dimmable version. This is also the 25 watt, and it is the cool white light. It comes in 3 flavors of light: warm white, natural white, and cool white. The cool white is the one you want. It's nice and bright and evenly illuminated. That's in the description below on where to get this. Now at the time I ordered this, it was like $11. Pretty reasonable. As a matter of fact, this dimmer switch costs more than the LED light. But if you use an incandescent light dimmer switch, you can get those for about 10 bucks. These are usually like double that. Okay, for a job box, all I did was take this protein can, cut it off, and put it on there. And I taped it in on the inside with duct tape. and that's how that is assembled on the inside. It's pretty simple. If you don't have a protein can big enough like that for that, you can use like a Tupperware can, and it's essentially the same thing. You just cut a hole in the lid to accommodate your switch, and then you screw the switch in through the plastic, and then you attach your trimmer piece on top and you're good to go. And it's relatively light and inexpensive. In theory, this looks really good. This one has been tested and it does work, but it's slow and it's non-adjustable. This one has not been tested. And so we're going to go over to the observatory pod and set it up in Nina and test it out and see what kind of results we get with it. We'll see you over there. All right, folks, we're in the observatory pod again. Hello. And we're going to run these flats with this flat panel. So let's give it a whirl. See how good it is. I got it here. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to go full brightness because we're going to start out with the hydrogen alpha filter and sticking it right on the top. So here we are in the Flat Wizard or Nina, and we've got 1 by 1. We've got the filter as the hydrogen alpha, minimum exposure 0, maximum 20, and the flat step size is 1/4 second, and the histogram target 45, 10% tolerance for any error. So it's a simple matter of just clicking here and letting it run at this point. It'll do a couple of test exposures, and there it is, figuring it out. I've got a dust donut here, one there, and one there, and there showing up, and up here too. I think, is it running? Yeah, it's running it already. That was pretty fast. These exposures are 0.16 seconds. So what we're going to do, I'm going to lower that light to see if I can't increase the exposure time so it's not quite so quick. Let's lower the light to about, let's see, about there. Let's see what that does. Okay, let's run it again. See if we can get it to about a second. There you go. Now that's 1.09. Yeah, that's better, and it accepted that right away. I got to tell you, so far I like it. The other method I was using, it took Nina a little longer to figure out what the maximum or the best exposure time was, and it looks like here it grabs it right away, so the light must be pretty even. See, now that's what I like about the adjustable light, where you can use the dimmer to dial it in. And now I got a little over a second exposure. And for some cams, I understand it's more problematic going under a second to get a repeatable histogram. So this is great. Already I like it. Pretty cool. And it was very easy to adjust that. And also the way Nina just jumped right on it without no problem. So now the next filter we'll do would be one that would be sort of like an RGB filter, and we'll do the LP2 filter. I have a broadband light pollution filter, and we'll do that one and see how low I can dial it in, because obviously it's going to take less light, and see if I can get it to like a second, although I don't think so, but let's see what we can do. And here comes the last one. Alright, so now let's change this filter to this LP2. And we're going to lower this light even more. First I'm going to turn it off and then just barely get it on. There. It just turns it on. Let's see what we get out of that. Filter's changing. Oof. That's not good. What's that? Oh, okay, yeah, the IMX 571 chip has a rolling electronic shutter. Now, LED lights, for the most part, don't flicker when they get a uniform current flowing through the bulb, but I got a dimmer switch here, and that creates the dimming effect by switching the power supply on and off many times per second. So the LED bulb really becomes like a flickering strobe light. So I'm going to have to lengthen the exposure or come up with some other fix, maybe put some paper over it and see if we can't sort it out that way. Histogram looks great though, so let's see, just for the heck of it, let's see what happened with the HA filter. That's the HA 109. See what they look like. Pretty bright. Okay, let's pull back. Yeah, I love nebulosity. I started out with nebulosity, and it's really good for stuff like this. Now that looks like a good flat. That looks like a good flat. Yeah, nice. Yeah, a little, high, but it's showing these dust donuts. So I'd say you're okay with the narrow band, but not so much so when you're doing the LP2. Now, before I go for that paper, let's try the O3, because that tends to be a filter that is light susceptible. So let's see, I'm keeping the setting dim just like before. Let's see what it does. And it's showing that it requires a little over half a second, 0.61. And it's just ripping right into them. Yeah, now that part's definitely quicker than the other light source I had. It took a while for that other one. And maybe because the other one just wasn't giving a consistent reading of light, whereas this one definitely does seem to be that way. I think it's going to be an easy fix. Just grab about 2 or 3 sheets of white paper and stick it over that, and that should resolve it, but we'll see here. Let's just run this here. We're at 16. I'll speed this up for you guys. Okay, we're at 24. The last one's coming in, and there's 25, and so that should wrap that up. Okay, so let's go and open one of those up in nebulosity and see what they look like. That histogram peak looks pretty good. I'll pull this back for you guys so we can take a good look at it. Yeah, there you go. Well, that looks like a good flat frame. Nice histogram here. Okay, so it looks like the only one we're having some issues with is the LP2 filter. And what I'll do is I'll grab some paper, put it on there, and see if that doesn't resolve it. Cool. Okay, I got some white paper here, just simple, printing paper. Or I'll just stick that over the top and put that there like that. Turn the light on. So let's see what it does over here. Let's go back to the LP2 filter and let's run that. 2 sheets of paper, and I dimmed it. That looks better. Yeah, it looks like a pretty good flat now. And it's now ripping through it pretty fast. It's a little over half a second, which is good. They sell 2 versions of this, guys. They sell this one, and they sell the one that is non-adjustable. As you can see, the adjustable one using a dimmer is highly useful. And that looks like that did the trick. Apparently for the narrow band, there's no trouble at all. Let's open this up now and see what this looks like. See what the histogram looks like. Nice histogram. That's a nice flat. Yeah. Okay, well that wasn't no big deal. I mean, just 2 sheets of paper. Okay guys, I think that'll do it. We kind of really looked at it, and I like it. It was relatively inexpensive. I'm fine that my flats are coming in quicker, that Nina's able to assess the proper exposure, whereas before it took a while. In fact, it took quite a while. You guys that are, subscribing and liking, you're making this happen. You guys are making this happen. I got to thank you for that. Appreciate it. Till next time, clear skies And thanks for tuning into the channel, Dakota Starry Nights.